What's going on YouTube? This is Dark Lord Destro making another video. Something that's been on my mind lately, and I know people who follow me on my personal Facebook page have been noticing some posts that I have made, and it's quite interesting, and it's going to require me to do some thorough research, because one thing I always tell people, you don't ever go by what someone else says. Even if I'm speaking knowledge on Facebook or I'm telling you something, I don't want you to go by my word. I want you to go in and put in your own work and do your research and understand that what I'm saying. Make sure there's some validity to what I'm saying. And what I've been wondering is, who are, where do we come from? Now, of course, we've been told from the time we were uh, little that, well, black people came from Africa and you were sold by other slaves to the so-called white man or Caucasians. You got put over here in boats. You got sent over here in boats, excuse me. Then, of course, you were sold as slaves, and then we all know the rest of the history. But is that really the history? There's a guy you should look up on YouTube. His name is Dane Calloway. That's Dane. That's first name, last name Calloway. Calloway. Look him up. I've been watching his videos the last week and a half, and for the past week and a half, and I find him quite interesting because I've been having like these dreams in my head when sometimes I go to bed, and not to weird you all out and whatnot, is that it's almost like I'm at a place to where I've never seen before, but I'm at peace. And I see a lot of trees. Sometimes I'm off a coastline, and I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. And I've talked to some people about that. They said maybe that's like your ancestors are speaking to you through your dreams. I'm not an expert on that. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable on that, but this is what I was told. And so back to I was talking about Dane Calloway. He basically, if you watch his videos, what he's trying to say or convey to the audience is that so-called black folks in America were already here. We are indigenous to this land, and that the so-called slave trade was really in reverse. It wasn't a lot of Africans leaving there and coming over here. It was some that left here that went to Africa. Now, I did watch a video the other day talking about the country of Liberia and how it was founded by so-called black folks who immigrated. Not immigrated with an I, but with an I from here to the west coast of Africa, which is now known as Liberia, and they named the capital of that country Monrovia. They named it Monrovia after the current president at that time, James Monroe. And it's funny because I was just at a wedding this past Saturday at the house that James Monroe lived at in Charlottesville, Virginia. It was a plantation, by the way. And on a side note, when I went to the wedding, it was like, wow, looking around, it's like, am I overdressed or should I have my overall and straw hats on? And then somebody else at the wedding was like, man, this reminded me of that movie Get Out, and had all of us cracking up laughing. It was all in fun, but it makes me wonder because I've been looking at old pictures of indigenous people, of so-called Native Americans. I know the term Indian is not a good name to use. I guess Native American is a proper word. If I do use Indian, I do apologize. I don't mean to defend anyone. It's just I'm in that transition period. And so anyhow, I've been looking at these pictures of so-called Native Americans, and they're dark complected. They're bronze colored people. Some of those so-called Native Americans are darker than me. And I have to ask myself, is this information true? And I'm watching his videos, and I've been taking some copious notes, and I'm just like, this is information. I'm like overwhelmed with it. I'm writing down notes. I'm just like, wow, like, we were once indigenous people here. And so when people say, well, when people make these little crazy comments talking about when you go back to Africa, it's like, what? Go back to Africa? My people never went there. People are from here. And then there's another YouTuber named Chronicles of Judah 144. I know that he mentioned in one of his videos, he was talking about how think it was Thomas Cromwell or Oliver Cromwell, how the Moors pretty much ruled Europe for 700 years, and how they were, of course, overrun, obviously, and then they were kicked out by either Oliver or Thomas Cromwell. I have to go back and check. And then how some of us left Europe and came over to America, not through slave ships, but came on our own. And how a lot of us, a lot of the so-called black folks do have like Scottish names. My mother's maiden name is Williams. My father's name is Smith. And from what I've been told, the Smith is English. I think Williams is Scottish, so I'm starting to tie it in. So maybe it's true. I don't know. I'm gonna do my my due diligence to dig deep, the same way I do with so-called conspiracy theories. I'm gonna do the same thing with this to discover if this is true or not. Because my girlfriend, people don't know. I'm sorry. I apologize, babe. I'm sorry. My fiance, I proposed to her on Christmas. She's Italian. I believe her father is English. Well, from the English line. And I went to her cousin's wedding in Virginia about 2 or 3 years ago. And then I went to her grandfather's birthday about 2.5 years ago. And I looked at her family. Now, they're Italians. I saw light Italians, like a passive white. Then I saw some Italians that were kind of like a little darker, like they had a little suntan. Then I had some that I saw that was darker. Then I saw one of our cousins. He was so dark, I thought he was Arabic. He had the beard, he had jet black hair. I could have sworn he was Arabic. And it's like, nah, he's Italian. I saw his mother, she's dark complected. Now his father was light skinned, who actually looks like a so-called Caucasian. And it just wowed me, and I'm sitting there observing all these different shades within this Italian family that I'm witnessing at a wedding, and it's just something. And then I go into the house and I'm talking to the grandfather. The grandfather's like 84, 85 years old, and I'm looking through all the pictures. Now, if you look at him now, he's lost some of his pigmentation in his skin. However, if you look at his pictures from in the 50s and the 60s, and he was very dark complected. And I remember, if I recall, there was a story about how he almost got jumped because they thought he was a black dude coming to an Italian owned bar or restaurant. And the reason why they didn't jump him because someone had to vouch for him and say, hey, I'm not a black dude, I'm Italian. And so it makes you wonder. It's like, I think every man, everybody, especially a man, needs to know where he came from. He needs to have an understanding about who he is, where's his lineage, what's his true race. Because black is not a race. White is not a race. Hispanic, those are corporate terms that were invented by the United States government. The term Hispanic was created by the Nixon administration. And I want to know what my lineage is. I want to know where my people. And I don't want to hear, oh, we became slaves, because I know that's just a bunch of crap. Because I feel it. It's like that thing in your heart, in the back of your head. I always knew before I stumbled upon this information a week and a half ago. And my girlfriend, my fiance, she's able to see her family. She trace that stuff, go back to a small town in Italy. Where can I go to? Oh, well, I remember my father telling me that, because my father's from, his hometown is Vicksburg, Mississippi. Well, down the line, because his side of the family, they're like fair-skinned people. Like his father, I never met him, but his father was so light, and I saw a picture of him. My father's father was so light that he didn't have kinky, woolly hair like the average black person. His hair was straight like a white person, like a so-called Caucasian, and his skin was so fair that he was able to go into the white-only shoe stores, department stores, grocery stores, and go and buy items for himself. Matter of fact, the people in the neighborhood will give him money because they know they can go into the white stores and they can get the best stuff. With the money, he go in there and the people there, they ain't know a difference. That's how fair skinned he was. He could pass for being white. And I remember my father told me on his side there was a white so-called Jewish lady, and that's in line, and that makes sense because there was some Jews who that owned slaves. That's just fact. And so I do know that. And so it's like it makes me wonder. It's like does it stop there? And but that information could be wrong. And I thought about Ancestry.com, but then I was told don't do that because I know that once you go that route, they can keep your DNA sample. I've heard those things, and I don't even want to doing that. And so I'm gonna try to hook up with or try to get some information from Dane Calloway. I'm gonna send him a nice donation when I'm able to, so he can further his research and just check his channel out. I'm impressed, and it's great stuff. And but those, like I said, those terms black, white, we call each other that. If you go talk to a man from Ghana, he's not gonna call himself black. He's gonna call himself Ghanaian. If you go to Ireland, the guy over there is gonna call himself a white dude. He's gonna say I'm an Irishman. If I go to Russia, Vladimir Putin's not gonna call himself I'm a white dude. He's gonna say no, mind, I'm a Russian or something like that. But you know what I'm getting. I'm going at with this. It's only in America. You're white. You're black. I never met any white person the same color as computer paper. I never met a black person the same color as the sky at night. Well, that could be debatable. But regardless of all that, those are made up terms and by the government, and we can't. It's just that that's part of the division that's going on. Is we have these corporate labels since America's not really a country. It's a corporation. You try to tell people all the time, they don't want to believe you, but if you do your research, you realize that America's corporation, it's been incorporated since 1871. You can look it up if you don't believe me. And these are nothing but corporate terms, and doesn't tell you anything because you're defined by your lineage, your tribe. You shouldn't be described by a corporate term. This is Dark Lord Destro out. I'm out. I know that somehow he's don't talk about on this page because this more geared toward video games, but it's on my mind. So I'll talk to you later. Peace.